everyone, and welcome to another episode of She Conversations. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Tanya.
Tanya, how you been doing this week?
This week, it's been okay. I can't complain. I'm a little tired
Mm-hmm.
from work and just kind of running around, but I'm okay. How was your week?
This week has been a lot. It's been kind of heavy, especially with the elections that just passed. It was, the day after was a little somber, a heaviness, uncertainty, people
Hmm.
just not being sure about what's going to happen next. So, yeah, this week has been something.
Yeah, definitely a challenging week.
Has been something. But hopefully today's episode will kind of shift the mood a bit, at least for us,
Absolutely.
because we are going to be talking about something really interesting. And so we're going to be talking about the intersection of housing and health, as well as home ownership, and how that is a pathway for generational wealth. And so we thought that the perfect person to talk about this is our special guest, Miss Christina Ramsey, who is a public health professional, a social entrepreneur, and a realtor. Welcome, Christina.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
How you doing? How has
I'm,
your week been?
oh my goodness, my week has been wonderful.
Okay.
It's been wonderful. It's been a roller coaster ride,
Mhm.
lots of opportunities to learn and grow and not cuss anybody out.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. I hear you. That's a
Hmm.
challenge every day.
Yes, it is.
When you wake up, get in the car, fighting traffic, and then when you get to work, it's a constant challenge. But thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And so we're talking about housing and health. So we want to start from the beginning. Like, what motivated you to become a realtor? If we can just start there.
Okay, so I've worked in public health for over 20 years in various capacities. I am a field epidemiologist by trade. And right now I'm working in administration. So I've always been involved in the community.
Hmm.
So for me to branch out into real estate seemed kind of natural because I like working in the community and I enjoy helping people. And as a public health professional, anything we do related to public health, the social determinants of health are always at the top of the conversation because we want to find out what the factors are that lead to some of these health outcomes. And for me, housing is interesting. As a realtor, the housing and the health link is something that I believe that I can do something about, by educating people,
Hmm.
by helping them to find homes in areas that fit their needs.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I just heard you mentioning like the social determinants of health and talking about housing. Can you tell us why it's important or why there is a connection between the two?
Oh, definitely. So I'll use heart disease as an example. And some of the ways to reduce your risk of developing heart disease is eating a healthy, nutritious diet, getting
Hmm.
quality sleep, exercise, and following up with your doctor and reducing your stress. So if you are, for instance, housing unstable or there is some housing instability in your life where you're sleeping on couches or you are unable to pay your rent, moving every couple months, even every year. There's really no way to build into that community. That causes stress
Hmm.
and anxiety. You don't know where you're going to be living, the next day, and you can be, or you could be in an environment where there's smoking. You can find yourself in an environment where there's smoking, and that contributes to heart disease as well. So, I mean, housing plays such a huge role in the overall social determinants of health, including, transportation, food quality, where you live and how you live most definitely impacts your health overall.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I don't think a lot of people understand the connection between housing and your health. And, like you said, everything from transportation, uh, food, a lot of different things impact your health. So just thank you for breaking that down for us. And so just to shift a little bit, and when we think about housing discrimination, I know a lot of people hear the term like redlining and predatory lending. Like, can you walk us through some now illegal practices that has really shaped housing and what protections are in place to protect like home buyers?
Hmm. So redlining, that is the practice of banks denying homeowners opportunities to purchase homes based on their race or ethnicity. So they would outline certain communities in red or yellow to indicate that these were undesirable neighborhoods. And the desirable neighborhoods were, of course, the green and blue communities, which were predominantly white. So the 1968 Fair Housing Act protects us from redlining and from block busting. And block busting is it was a practice utilized by developers and realtors to get people to sell their homes at lower than market rate. So what they would do is they would go into communities and they would say, "Hey, you have these undesirable people, these black people or these Hispanic people are moving into your communities, and they're going to bring crime." And they're going to bring down your property values. So they would sell their homes. And then the developer would turn around and sell it to a black person or a Latino person or whichever um, group of people whom they deemed undesirable at a higher rate. And when we look around Baltimore, we can see the remnants of redlining even today because, you know, with the white flight, with that fear and people just leaving in a hurry, some of them abandoned those properties. And with the banks and the redlining, the banks not being willing to invest in those communities. I mean, people weren't able to, um, get loans to fix up their homes and things like that. So it's been detrimental to, black and brown communities. Um, Steering is also illegal. So, say for instance, if I have a client who wants to live within 5 minutes of the beach. Of course, I'm going to show them beachfront properties. However, steering is based on your race, your color, your ethnicity, your religion, things like that. So, Ashley, as a young black woman, if the realtor takes it upon herself to say, "Hey, Ashley's a black woman, so I'm only going to share her homes in the black community," or if Jeffrey is a same gender loving man, well, I'm only going to show him, properties in this area because I'm going to keep him away from the Jewish communities or the communities that have children. So again, the Fair Housing Act protects us against those practices. And the Department of Justice, unfortunately, has to continue to be vigilant and hold these lenders accountable. Um, the Bank of America, for instance, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they were found guilty and were held accountable and were fined. What they were doing is they were charging black and brown people a higher interest rate um, based on their race
Yeah.
and ethnicity. And it didn't matter if you were Puerto Rican or Mexican, you were Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter if you were Nigerian American or Jamaican American, you were black. And they said, "We're going to charge you a higher interest rate just because of that."
And I think that's crazy, because I feel like there was another bank that was doing something similar, Navy Federal.
Oh,
Did
there
y'all
were
hear about
so many banks.
that? Yeah.
There were so many banks that were, you know, um, held accountable for their predatory practices. And again, it's thanks to the Department of Justice
Mm-hmm.
for holding those lenders accountable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that continues to happen.
Hmm.
Because I feel like it makes people hesitant,
Mm-hmm.
to even just pursue buying a home. Just
But you
No,
have options,
you
though.
have
You have
options.
options. Yeah.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mhm.
Just don't go to one lender.
Yeah, like you said, shop around,
Mm-hmm.
interview multiple lenders is important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit. Is that okay? And
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
wealth building, right? Because we know that home ownership is like a key pathway to like financial stability. Can you share your thoughts on how owning a home can help families build long-term wealth?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So generational wealth is basically transferring your assets down the line. You transfer your wealth, your stocks, your properties, or whatever to your children, and then they transfer that and theirs along to their children. So it's basically an inheritance. Um, I'll give you an example of how housing is a pathway to generational wealth. When we think about generational wealth, we're thinking in terms of passing something down, literally, like stocks, bonds, properties, sometimes, physical assets. And I'll just give you an example of myself. When I first got out of the military, I was determined to make it. I was going to do it on my own. I worked a full time job, a part time job, went to school full time, lived on my own, had a beautiful copper Mitsubishi Eclipse. I was doing my thing and just completely stressed out and broke. So had I, and I would say hindsight is 2020. So had I lived with my mother
Mhm.
for the duration of my college, um, my undergrad experience, I could have saved money. I could have graduated debt free, and been a bit stress free in terms of my finances. So that's another way to pass down generational wealth because my mom had a home.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I could have just lived with her. Um, Another example of that is, my shirt says, "Don't sell grandma's house." What you can do is take the equity out of that house, help someone to start a business, help someone to purchase a home to give them that head start,
Mhm.
and helping, your graduates to pay down that student debt. So that house is like a gold mine, and not only that, I think that generational wealth in terms of community is important and just staying grounded in that same community. So if you were born there and you continue to live there, then of course you're going to work to maintain the community and work to invest in those businesses that are there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I always think it's a beautiful thing when I come across families where, the house that they live in was, passed down from their parents and from their
Hmm.
grandparents. And, I know there's factors beyond their control where, some people unfortunately are forced almost
Hmm.
to sell. But, if you're able to hold on to it, I think that's an amazing thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, for those who are thinking about home ownership, what are some steps they can take to make that dream a reality?
Okay, the first thing I would recommend is finding a really good financial guru to follow on YouTube or TikTok. So I love Dave Ramsey and Vivian, your rich BFF. So I listen to those podcasts, and it's important to learn how to budget because you want to work on your credit, and your credit will determine your interest rate. So those things are very important. And we talked about being house poor as well. So make sure that you have savings. So when you purchase a home, of course you put down the down payment, right? But then you're gonna have to turn on the lights. You're gonna have to pay for movers. You have to have, or you should have an emergency fund available for those things that happen, out of the blue. If you have a leak or something happens. So the steps to buying a home are pretty simple. You get a realtor, you find a lender, and the process is the steps are the same throughout home buying, but the most important things I believe are just having that discipline to save and understanding how credit works.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you say to a buyer that may be discouraged by the whole process? Maybe they're following the steps that you just kind of laid out, but it's just not working in their favor.
Oh my goodness, just be patient.
Mhm.
Put your head down and do the work. So you can go to Eventbrite. There's so many home buyer courses that you can take, first time home buyer courses. Baltimore is amazing because they have so many programs for not only first time home buyers, programs that help with down payment assistance. But yeah, just again, going back to understanding your credit and how that works, um, and taking those classes.
Yeah. And also, don't be afraid to ask questions. Um,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of information that's thrown at you
Mm-hmm.
during the process. So if you don't understand something, ask. Like, what does this mean? Like, how do I do this? I definitely think that's important.
Hmm.
So, as we wrap up today, is there any takeaways that you want to leave our viewers with today?
I would say invest in your community. Again, reaching out to those services that are there. So if you're a homeowner and you're living in a house that maybe has leaking pipes or rodents or things like that, just reaching out to the city to find out what services are available. Look around your community. There's so many community-based organizations that are there to help homeowners, so utilize all of those resources and don't be discouraged. There are people who care, most definitely. Find a trusted realtor. Ask someone who's recently purchased a home, about their experience and with their realtor.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would say keep the faith, most definitely.
So, Christina, thank you so much for that. Because I know for myself, about to go through the home buying
Oh,
process,
great.
right? So, I'm renting right now. I've been kind of, you know, dipping and dabbing, like out there, kind of looking at different options and stuff.
Hmm.
So, this conversation was definitely important for me. Like, hearing about all the different steps that I need to take or
Hmm.
should follow, and also the piece on not being discouraged, because I have heard from people that are within my networks, like everything's so expensive right now,
Hmm.
and really trying to find options that kind of fit their budget and um, fit their family composition. Like it's really difficult, so I'll definitely make sure I keep that in mind to not get discouraged. Right. And rely on my sisters right here. Sound like I got
Absolutely.
a lot of knowledge and expertise sitting all around me. So, yeah, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah. And then also, thank you for talking about housing from a public health standpoint. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that
Hmm.
was very important and not something that's talked about a lot beyond the public health world. So, thank you for sharing just the information about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry. It made me think of and made me think of my clients, like from work. Like, of course, their health is most important to me, but when you're talking about the other determinants, like just understanding why they aren't able to be consistent and why they
Mm-hmm.
aren't able to adhere to the treatments that you put them on, it's important to understand all that. So I thank you for raising that.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And so we're going to close out with our word of the day. We've been trying
Okay.
to keep it consistent. I think we skipped like an episode or two where we ain't have a word of the day, but it's our thing now.
I hope it's a good
So,
one. Is it a good one, Ashley?
yeah, I looked this up. I don't know if it's a real word, but it's a
Oh.
word because, when I was typing it up, it had a little squiggly line under it, in
Mm.
Word. But the word of the day is thrivability. So this term goes beyond just surviving. It's about creating environments where individuals and communities can flourish. So, in the context of housing, thrivability means access to safe, affordable homes, stable neighborhoods, and resources that support physical, mental, and social well being. When communities have the foundation for thrivability, they can build wealth, have better outcomes, and there are opportunities for future generations.
That's a good
Oh,
one.
I did my work.
Okay.
I did
Yeah.
my work.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Drivability.
And so thank you again, Christina, for sharing your expertise with us today. And thank you again to our listeners.
Well, wait. Can Christina do a plug real quick for? I know she said she was a realtor. Did you want to do a plug?
Oh,
For,
absolutely. Thank you
Yes,
so much. I need some
yeah.
business. I'm
please.
working on becoming a multimillionaire. So my name is Christina Ramsey, and I am a realtor with Long and Foster. And you can reach me at Christina.Ramsey@longandfoster.com. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Sorry.
No, I thought that was perfect. Thank you for plugging that. And we'll make sure to include the little thing under your name when we air this episode. So thank you for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.
See y'all.
Thanks.